So through transition, through Cavalier, we're 40 years in business, and we've done a lot of growing, we've done a lot of expanding. And she asked me to speak a little bit of the spotting, and through years and months of talking and communication, when we think of a tool shop, and we're high pressure injections, I don't know if you guys are spotting dies or not, but we're on the injection side, the mold side. The big focus in most tool shops is typically CNC, and then you look at EDM, and then you look at spotting, and I don't know if everyone else agrees, but we see a lot of that certainly in the city of Windsor. And what we've looked at as the years are coming in front of us, every customer has the same problem. It's always a reduced timeline. Nobody has the time that they once did to build the product. What was 24 weeks was then 20, which is now 18, and soon to be 16 or 14. So we see that, and we're aware, and we address it all the time. So we look at solutions, and a lot of the solutions are on the cut side. You know, you got to cut it better, multi-axis. We're going to drill faster. We're going to mill faster. We're going to burn better. So when customers come through, customers are always measuring you up. They're looking at what you can do, how you do it, and why you would do it. So at the end of the day, like Beatrice says, we're selling the quality part. That's what they want. We as mold makers are metal removal experts, right? The guy that removes the most metal the fastest wins. So you look for all these different things. But when selling to customers, one thing became very apparent. We were always selling insurance. They wanted to know that what they got was not only accurate of a quality standpoint, but would certainly last a long period of time. And we all saw everything go to kind of China and come back. And that was very important for us. So we invested in a very small machine. We had a lot of older presses, homemade, and some that were store-bought and such. But we ended up getting a mill utensil BV30, which was a little bit smaller than most. And the big focus on that was really for the two-shot rotational. So we do a lot of rotational molds. And our thought process going into that was that we would be able to save the molder or the customer a lot of time. And what we meant by that is we would build the mold, but it was very common that you would go into a production environment, they would pull something and run your tool, and you'd go back and forth. So we viewed this as maybe a solution to be able to take a lot of cost out. So from a competitive standpoint, we would say 15 or 20 grand against a competitor on each and every mold we quoted. And was it right? Yeah, check mark, it worked. But in taking a lot of customers through, we realized it was a little bit deeper and a little bit further than that. Customers would see what we do on the cut side, the burn side, and it came to the spotting side. And it was a little bit of insurance. A lot of the customers looked at us and said, hey, look, you're looking at the whole thing. You know, you often talk about design for manufacturing and how you build your molds. We've all had those conversations. And again, what does the customer care about? What happens in his plant. So from the design to the cut to the burn to the spotting, we found that when we got into the mill utensil and we really demonstrated the commitment to the customer, the capability, and you know, the days of shooting molds 3, 4, 5, 6. I've heard some of our competition, 8 times they're in a press. We think it's ridiculous. And using things like this really is propping us up against our competition. They're seeing how we design, how we cut, how we burn, and in turn how we spot. What ends up on their dock in a greatly reduced period of time has advanced us. So, complementary to the mill utensil product as well as the advancements in cut and burn, it really is the whole package that people look at. It's kind of like buying a car. You go to buy a car and this guy sells tires. Well, he cares about his tires, and this guy cares about this and that. But you buying the car, you want the freaking wipers to work when it's raining. You want the thing to drive in the snow. You got to park it in the garage. All these things are important to you. And when we really looked at the customer and what they wanted, it was more than just the surface. It was the longevity. So the cost argument always comes up. Well, it's too much money. I can't afford it. And I always come back and say, you can't not afford it. And what I mean by that is when I go to the customer, we encourage them to look at the total cost of ownership. Sure, you're building a mold, or you're buying a mold rather, and we're building the mold, but the total cost of ownership with our product is less. If Tony's 100 grand and I'm 120 grand, ours is still cheaper. Why? We looked at the whole picture and what you're going to get during the duration of the molding process or the total tool life of that product. So by cutting a job closer, by burning it more accurate, spotting it more accurate, we're selling insurance. It's perceived value. The customer pays you more. They're happier with it, and the total time went down. So we've since ordered now a 306, which is a very large mill utensil. I believe it's just under 150-inch bed, and a 256 is right around the corner. Because it's really what customers want. They want the full package, much like a car. People think of a car. Who would buy a car with an automatic and no air conditioning? Nobody would. I mean, it's ridiculous to even think about it. You might with your lawnmower, but you wouldn't with your car. And a lot of molders are the same way. They want to know that when that sucker goes in the press, it's going to be, cranking out parts day in, day out. So does it work? Yes. Does it make us better? Yes. In days past, everything was kind of rough. Everyone had stock. We would always joke. We'd say, precision cut, hammer fit. Right? Who hasn't done that? spend, 3 weeks on CNC and then go beat the hell out of it, weld it all over the place, smush it together and deliver it. Those days are behind us. We don't do that anymore. We have customers show us how competitors build their molds and what they look for. So now we want to cut very accurate. We want to burn very accurate. And we're not spotting like in days past with the big 4-inch metablos, grinding off stock. We're more tickling the metal. We're dusting it down and we're getting it tighter and tighter and tighter. Do we go a second time? Typically. Usually after a sample, we'll look at vents, different things. But do we spot a job, or are we in and out of a molding machine for 7, 8, 10 tryouts? Not a chance. Can't make money. So it's a combination. We always joke at Cavalier. We say it's people, process, equipment. It's the right people doing the right things on the right equipment. And for us, mill utensil is a big part of that success. We need to know that we can put our products in there and demonstrate to our customer through the design, through the build, and through delivery to their back door, their dock, their loading dock, that they're buying something, they're buying the insurance. So for us, it's very important, and hence our relationship with mill utensil and the commitment for the project and a few more presses on order. So I'm very proud to have the mill utensil.